Hello there guys, you're listening to Ebird Online and I'm back with another review, and today we're going to be having a quick look at Brandon and Julia. I had thought that Brandon's mum Betty was a bit of a mild irritant, but I now realise she's actually a grade A carcinogenic toxin. So we're going to discuss a little bit later, what do you do with a woman like Betty? And I'd also like to discuss Julia's work on the farm and if she should be working so hard for nothing. And this exact question has created quite a stir on the internet this week. And Brandon appears to have upset viewers with an off-colour Instagram post about this entire situation, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that at the end of the video as well, and of course give you my unsolicited opinion on the whole issue. Very quickly, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that's subscribed thus far, and I'm genuinely very grateful for all the messages you send me, and I love our comment section. I do, so keep it coming. Right, so without further ado, I give you Brandon and Julia. And last time we saw this couple, they'd just arrived at the farm and Julia was learning how to feed the horses and the chickens and the pigs. She was quite scared of all the animals, but Betty was casting a beady, authoritarian eye over the whole of proceedings, and she was ensuring that Julia knew exactly what to do. Betty knowing what to do and actually doing it are two entirely different things. As are, I suppose, knowing what to do and wanting to do it. And she said, Julia, this is your job from now on. You do realise you get paid when you have a job, don't you? Let's just see how that works out, shall we? So Julia's going round the farm, being instructed by Betty on how to do everything, and Julia tells us she likes animals, but she only likes pet animals. She doesn't like taking care of animals. I suppose it's pretty similar to me. The e-bird likes animals, but she only likes seasoning and eating animals. She too doesn't like taking care of animals. And when Betty, who many describe as a wolf in wolf's clothing, asked Julia, have you got any questions? She shot back as quick as a flash. How much is a ticket to Russia? Many a true word spoken in jest. And I have to say, as far as I'm concerned, Betty and her family are treating Julia like some sort of indentured servant. And when I last expressed such a view, loads of you guys were saying, but Ebird, she's living there for free. Yes, I know, but she's living on a ramshackle farm, which is 1 hour away from the very nearest shop. She's not staying in the bloody Ritz. Helping out isn't doing a job that you would otherwise pay somebody else to do. Helping out's doing a few pots or cooking dinner, or helping wash the car or do laundry. Helping out is not being an unpaid farmhand. So next time we see this couple, Brandon's getting up and is going to work at the absolute crack of dawn, and so are his parents. Julia's going to be all on her own on the farm today. Julia lets us know she sneaked into his bedroom last night, partly to get away from the paint pots and clutter in her bedroom, and partly so she could shag Brandon. And when she finally wakes up, it's about 12 PM. And here's what she says. Oh dear, it seems as if Betty was right all along. It seems she is a streetwalker. She sees only animals and not have street for walking. She also realises she doesn't have a pole for gyrating or a lap for dancing. And by the time she finally gets up to go and work on the farm and get eggs from the chicken and feed all the animals, Aspen, a family friend, is there. And straight away she moans at Julia and tells her, you have to be up at 6 AM, the animals are really hungry. And I say to this, so what, they're animals, they'll live. And as Julia begins her spell as an indentured servant, Julia tells us she doesn't like the smell. She also tells us she wants to throw up. She also tells us she's forgotten how to feed the animals. And it's quite amusing, guys, because as she's feeding the pigs, they're literally chasing her around and she's screaming. Fun fact, Ebird used to work on a farm herself when she was a little chickling. But it was a dairy farm and I kind of think it was more fun than where Julia's working. And Aspen lived right down to my expectations. I kind of knew I wouldn't like her. When she first saw Julia, she was like, oh my god, you're so pretty. I'm really happy to meet you. But I kind of knew for some reason she was going to start, I don't know, just ridiculously stereotyping Julia. And she called Julia a princess just because Julia didn't know how to feed the animals. And she then went on to say that she considered Julia hasn't had to do hard work before. Aspen, you're getting animal feed out of a bucket and putting it into a trough. You are not splitting the freaking atom. And although I've got no evidence whatsoever for this, I low-key think Aspen used to fancy Brandon. Like I say, no evidence, but yeah, I just think it anyway. And she said, oh my god, it's hilarious watching Julia right now. Really, Aspen, is it more or less funny than watching you attempt to do go-go dancing? And at the end of her shift, Julia explains to us she doesn't really want to do this for 90 days. She said, this is not life, this is not my dreams. So the next time we see these guys, everybody's going for a dinner to meet Grandpa. And Betty asked Julia, how was the farm today? Missing you, Betty, missing you. And Julia said that she was trying to feed the pigs for an hour and that she found it really difficult. Julia should have said to Betty, Betty, I don't really like it. I don't think I'm going to be doing this for 90 days. You need to get back your old worker, whoever that may have been. But Betty ignored the fact that Julia said I found it really difficult, and she said, the main question is, did the pigs get to eat? That's not the main question, Betty. I couldn't give a flying frig about the pigs. If you need to make sure that the pigs have eaten, you feed them yourself. But of course, none of this was said. But then suddenly out of nowhere, Betty exclaimed, Julia, your neck. And Julia's got a few love bites on her neck. And Julia, of course, blamed Brandon. And Brandon, like a little child, looked all around and tried as hard as he could to stay mute and deflect. But Betty continued, how did that happen? You haven't been sleeping in the same room. So 2 things here. Firstly, Betty, you don't need to be sleeping in the same room to get love bites. And the second thing is, on the first night, Betty put condoms on the bedside table in Julia's room, and Julia was very embarrassed. But if you didn't think they were going to sleep together at some point, why ever would you do that? So let's stop with the faux surprise now, Betty. Please stop, it's boring. And Betty continues, I can't believe you did that, Brandon. But then Grandpa decided he's going to pipe up about Brandon's piping. Stop embarrassing your son. Well said, Grandpa, it's about time somebody told her. And then his dad said, no, he needs embarrassing. He's got to grow up. And they both exclaimed, he's 27. Guys, you treat him as if he's 7. That's why he hasn't grown up. But Grandpa quite rightly pointed out, I'm 87 and I'd still do that to a young girl. You wouldn't, Grumps, because your teeth would come out and stick on her neck. But yeah, I kind of get your point. But controlling Betty is about to control once more. And she asked, have you got a date for your wedding yet? And Brandon said, yep, Julia's got a date. And she said, yep, the 9th of May. And guys, this was hilarious. Her parents looked at each other and I thought, oh my God, what's this? The 9th of May, this is, maybe somebody died on this date. And they both said, no, this is Mother's Day weekend. And it was really bizarre because both of them were in complete shock. And they spoke to producers later. You do not want to share your day with their wedding. It's an absolutely terrible date. And Betty said, thank you, I agree. I honestly can't believe this. I'm absolutely dumbstruck. So I thought, I'll have a little test. I'll see what my parents think. I'll see if they even know what weekend Mother's Day is on. So it's on the 14th of March in the UK, which seems really weird because I'd always thought it was the end of March. But anyway, I rang Mummy and Daddy Bailey and put them on loudspeak, and I asked them what occurs on the weekend nearest to the 14th of March. And I did think the date rang a bell, but they both pointed out the 16th of March, Ebird, is your younger brother's birthday. How did I not know these 2 things were the same weekend? Whoop! Oh dear. So I guess Mummy Bailey has always shared this date. Well, kind of, I suppose. But I guess since the date fluctuates because it's always a Sunday, that's maybe why I've never conflated the 2. I don't know. But I did just find it really strange that both their parents knew this date. Incidentally, my parents didn't even mention Mother's Day. I didn't bring it up. But Julia has a reason for the 9th, and she said it's because that's the first day that he ever wrote me a message, which I think is cute and quite romantic. And his parents were like, yeah, well, yeah, it's not a great date, so you might want to think about another date. No, she's having it on the 9th, Betty. And then she asked Brandon, what do you think to this? And Brandon said, if Julia wants it on the 9th, then we're having the wedding on the 9th. Yay! Finally! Well done, Brandon. Finally, Brandon puts his foot down and stands up for Julia properly. And Gramps goes to write it into his, Filofax probably. And Betty physically stopped him and said, don't bother writing the date down because it's not set in stone yet. Guys, I deadass want this wedding on the 9th of May. And that's where we leave these guys for this week. So what does the Ebird make to all of this? Well, as you can imagine, I'm none too pleased with Betty and her accomplice, Brandon's dad, because they're wrong on so many levels. Now, whilst I think it's somewhat draconian that Brandon and Julia aren't allowed to sleep together, I get it. I think my parents would very probably be the same. So I guess them sleeping in separate rooms is, par for the course. But Betty is so controlling, it grinds my gears. Firstly, she's never up out of Julia and Brandon's business. Let's have dinner together, let's eat together, let's all go to Washington DC for the first weekend. Let this couple have a little bit of time to themselves, please. And then we come to the work that Julia's expected to do on the farm. Now, I completely believe that if you're staying somewhere, especially long term, make yourself as useful as possible. But I think two things. Firstly, they should have given Julia a week or so, or a little bit of time to settle in. The moment she rocked into town with her selfie stick and her high heels, they were snatched from her and she was dumped unceremoniously into a pair of Wellingtons and thrown out onto that farm. They didn't even ask, they just expect her to do all this work for nothing. It's not a little bit of helping out. Being a farmhand is an actual job. And next we come to Julia's bedroom. And for those of you that say, well, she has to pay for bed and board, they've basically got her living in the junk room. And the worst thing is, they haven't even bothered to take the bloody junk out. You'd need to pay me to stay there. Definitely not the other way round. And Brandon got into quite a bit of trouble on his Instagram. And he kind of made some sort of veiled joke as if Julia was a slave. And some people got in their feelings about it and said, you know, this is a joke that's too close to the mark. Truth be told, the Ebird thought immediately she's an indentured servant. How would you describe somebody being forced to work a job in return for board and lodgings? Answers in comments below, please. If she was helping around the house or cooking a few meals, no problem. But you make money from your farm. And so if you're asking me to work on it, I need some of the spoils. And all she really has is the sound of Betty consistently nagging. And as I said very briefly, I worked on a farm when I was about, I don't know, maybe 8 till 10. It was my little weekend job. And I have to say, it's absolutely knackering. It's definitely not for everybody. It isn't. And then finally, we come to the wedding date. And Betty was quick to point out that that was her weekend, along with every other mother in America, and that she didn't want it ruined by this pesky wedding. Bad luck, Betty, because it's happening. And guys, to be quite honest, I didn't mind in fact that she would have preferred it to be another date. But what I really didn't like was when it was explained to her why it was that date, and there was quite a good reason, she still wasn't accepting it, and she just thought, well, my needs and what I want always outweigh whatever Julia and Brandon want. And I can't bear that attitude about her. And then even when Grandpa was about to make note of the date, she said, oh no, it's still to be discussed, we haven't confirmed it yet. But that just means she's going to go on and on and on and try and break Brandon and Julia down until they do what she says. Hold firm, guys. And Brandon broke a habit of a lifetime when he actually stood up to Betty for once and said, nope, this is the date that we're doing it on. Finally, well done, Brandon, keep it up. And honestly, at this point, this is how I see it. I think, Julia, get the credit card out of your pocket. Brandon, you have a full-time job, so you are getting paid something. Stop working on the farm. Go and get another part-time job, perhaps for a few months. Get married immediately and move out of that farm, and you might well save your relationship. I think you guys are really cute together. I think you're the best couple on this season, the couple most likely to make it. And I think they genuinely do like each other. Very quickly before I go, loads of people have been saying as well, oh, Julia's such a gold digger. What gold? In order to dig gold, there has to be gold to dig. She's living in a junk room, working on a farm for free. She lives 1 hour from the nearest civilization. That ain't gold. When she lived in Russia, she lived in the middle of the city in a nice apartment and was a go-go dancer. She wasn't picking grubs out of the snow in Siberia. So come on now, guys, I think genuinely they do like each other. Just because somebody's from a poorer country, we can't always assume, oh, they're only together because they're gold digging. In order to dig gold, 1, you need gold, and 2, you need some sort of evidence that it's actually happening. You can't just say it and have it be true. Anyway, guys, I'd love to know what you think. Do you think this is a good couple, or do you think that she's gold digging? What do you think we do with someone like Betty? She's a nightmare. Best is to be ignored, or better still, to be moved away from. And do you think that Julia should be working for free as a farmhand for the next 3 to 6 months until they get their own apartment? So please put your comments down below, and I'll be back very soon, hopefully tomorrow, with another video. And I finally have some very interesting thoughts on Jovi and Yara. So if you don't want to miss this video, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And if you enjoyed today's video, please hit the like button. You've been listening to Ebird Online. Thank you so much for listening, and I bid you good day.